What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 20 of the AllDriveNoDrop podcast. What's up, David? How are you doing? I hope you had a better weekend than me because I'm going to tell you something. It was one of the roughest weekends of my life. But how was yours?
It was great, actually. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. And I should wish you a happy birthday for all the people out there. He was out here celebrating his birthday this weekend.
Thank
I
you.
don't
Thank
hope you
you.
didn't go too hard out there. I mean, what was the shot count at?
Mm, yeah, we don't need to talk about
We
that.
don't we don't talk about
Yeah.
what
Actually,
was the drink of choice? What was the birthday drink of choice?
it was Jameson.
Jameson. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
oof,
But not too
rough
much
times.
because
Yeah,
I think I told you, but I'm actually doing a high rocks race at the end of March. So
okay.
I have to get up like early every morning to do like AM workouts. So I've got like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. workouts in the morning. So, it can't be too wild.
That's true. That's true. Well, glad you had a good birthday weekend. I don't even know how much detail want to get into mine, but I was very sick. Um, Imagine what happens when you're very sick and you spend most of the night in the bathroom. That was me the first night, and then I basically slept the whole day the next day because I didn't sleep that previous night. Um, yeah, I didn't do any didn't do much that day, and then I started making the recovery over the weekend. Felt a little bit better, and now I'm here. Now we're here recording and feeling almost 100%, but I don't think we'll
Yeah.
be there all the way for a second. But I'll tell you, there's some stuff going on out there. You just gotta make sure you eat your vegetables and fruit and vitamins and hope you don't get that sick because it's not fun.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that,
Well,
man. Hope
hey, what can you
maybe
do?
maybe you called Dustin from PB Med. Did he help you out?
I feel like he never wants to give out free medical advice. He always tries to bill me. I'm like, hey, Dustin, like, what should I be doing right now? How can I get better? And he's like, well, if you make an appointment here, come see me. Never, you think you know a guy for pickleball, but he won't give you free medical advice. But I understand lawsuits flying around. You got to be careful these days.
That's fair.
Uh, but enough about me and poor me. I'm back. It doesn't matter. How was your 11/6/24 demo day? And give us a little background for the demo day, I guess, because I don't think everyone knows that 11/6/24 was doing it. So, what was the demo day, and then how did it go?
Yeah, so I had all the 9 new paddles from 11.6.24. We had the powers, the new all quartz, the updated graphics on the jelly beans, and then obviously they had the Hirachi shape, the Monarch, which is on the Pegasus, and then the new Vapor shape, which is a new hybrid paddle. But basically, I rented out an entire facility, all 6 courts, brought out some food, and then brought out all the paddles. Just had everyone there for some open play so they could try out all the paddles. I brought some fun ones too. So I brought the Alpha. And then I also brought like this gift that David gave me. So he gave me like the Monarch Alpha 2 prototype. So I don't think that's going in production, but the power paddles were a big hit. Everyone really liked those. The Alphas were the second biggest hit. And then the Monarch Alpha 2s were the third biggest hit. And I just kept telling them, like, I can't sell you an Alpha. And I don't know how many of these Alpha 2s are in existence, but I'm not going to sell you mine. And then, yeah, people aren't that many big fans of the all quartz or the jelly beans, but I think the powers are going to be really popular. Very good feedback for those. They were definitely, it was like a good mix. Like we had paddle nerds, and then we had people that saw the words demo day and showed up, and then just saw that it was a 2 hour open play where you could try paddles. And
Mm.
then there were just some people who showed up and used the same paddle that they brought. So there's this one guy who brought a Lux, and then people were telling him, like, hey, you can try the other paddles here, right? And he's like, oh, I'm okay, I'm okay. And just played for the Lux for the whole 2 hours.
He just came for the free pickleball.
Yeah, and the Chick-fil-A, I guess. Like I saw people just eating it and then playing. So
Oh, you did food too?
yeah, I did some snacks.
Wow. I mean, I guess I would have came just for the food if even if I didn't want to try paddles. That's a pretty good
Yeah,
demo day.
and then
How
like
many
there's a
people?
party before us. They left a bean dip, and then like people that came to the demo event were eating their bean dip, and I was like, "That's not mine, by the way. So if you get sick,
Ooh.
that's on you." But
Yeah,
yeah, we had a
that's a sketchy one. We don't know how long the bean dip's been out there and who
yeah.
made it, what
People are
happened.
going to town on that. I was like, I don't trust that, but you guys have fun.
How many courts did you have?
We had 6 courts, so we had 40 people, and then so there's like, 24 people playing at once, and then just like 4 people waiting in stacks.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
huge. Like for I was thinking like 2 or 3 courts, but
No, I,
wow,
I I
that's
got the whole
nice.
facility. I wanted to have like a big event, so
Okay.
yeah, shout out to my friend LA. He's my coworker from work. Yeah, he helped me set up, and then also Coach Max. So he's actually an 11/6/24 sponsored coach. But yeah, they helped me out with that event. LA actually brought his friend Francis, and my wife saw him. He goes, "That guy looks really familiar," and I was like, "Hey, I don't know." Then Francis follows me on Instagram, and then I look at his Instagram and went, wait, this guy works at Bluestone Home Loans. He's managing our mortgage. That's why he looks familiar. Like he's part of that team. And then
Oh,
so I
that's
told my
funny.
other friend that we talked about. I was like, hey Johnny, I met your friend Francis. So he tells Francis, like, hey Francis, I heard you met David. He goes, who's David? And he goes, oh, the guy at that pickleball event. He's like, oh, you mean Mr. Tickle? That's his name's David.
Oh man, that's cool. That sounds like a good event. I mean, I was thinking about it, but the facilities around here, I just don't think they would let me do it because they all have deals with Selkirk and Yola, and
Yeah.
I don't think they would let me bring another paddle in. And it seems like they're very aggressive. Like, no, this is our market. Like, you can't sell paddles here. You can't do this, but. Maybe that's just me thinking that. I know Lifetime for sure would 100% not let me do it, and that's
Hmm.
mainly where I play. But some of the other smaller facilities, maybe they would let me do it. I'm not sure. But yours is it's a smaller one, or is it a Lifetime?
It's called Dill Dinker. So I went to the one in
Okay,
Manassas, but there's like a chain here. They started in Maryland and then they're branching out to
okay.
Virginia now. But they actually, I think they have a partnership with Pickleball Central. So I
Oh,
actually
okay.
shot their what was it? I shot a training video for them for their employees
Nice.
on like the different paddle types, and then yeah, so that's how I like that connection with them. And then I asked the director like, can I host this demo day? And he was like, yeah, of course. So he let me do it, which is nice.
Awesome. Yeah, I guess you need to just know the ownership. Also, hit
Yeah.
up David for any training videos for your facility to talk about paddles and how to pick the right paddle for someone. I didn't know he was freelancing that for doing that, but
Basically, it was just
hit
like
him
this
up.
is a Gen 1 panel, this is a Gen 2, this is a
Oh,
Gen 3.
don't give away the
Yeah,
secrets. They gotta pay. They gotta pay for that. They gotta pay for that.
yeah.
Uh, okay. Well, that sounds like a great event. Anything else to share about that one? It sounds like it went pretty well.
Yeah, I guess one funny story. So, some of the guys knew that LA met me from work, and they're like, "Was that
Hmm.
the strangest place you got recognized before?" Because so everyone's here is calling me Mr. Ticket. Like, yeah, what's like the weirdest place that you got recognized in public? And I'll ask you this afterwards. But when they asked me, and I was like, now that I think about it, it was at Encore Beach Club in Las Vegas when I was seeing a Griffin concert. Some random guy was like, "Aren't you that guy that does pickleball reviews?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, I have no idea how I got recognized here."
That's pretty funny. Um,
Yeah.
uh, well, the most so I don't think there's really been like a random place. Everywhere I've been recognized has been pickleball court related.
Yeah.
Not saying like maybe someone's seen me and just didn't say anything, but yeah, all pickleball court related. Different cities, different pickleball courts. But there was a moment, I can't remember what, I think it was like 3 weeks ago now, where I'm sitting there. I'm at a bakery with my sons, and we're eating our pastries as one does. And then the table behind me is about like 6 guys, maybe like late 20s, early 30s. And, my ears perk up. I hear pickleball. And so I'm like, what? Like, what are we talking about? They're talking about like full blown, like, how they're going to create their pickleball facility, the plans, the layout. Like, we need this, we need this, we need a bar, maybe we'll have a padel court in there. And I was like, and you kind of know, like, you've been playing pickleball in the area for a while. You kind of know like most of the people, but I'm like, I haven't, and I wasn't far away from my house. So I was like, I don't recognize any of these guys. So,
Hmm.
and I'm like waiting to get up, and I'm like, I figure these guys are hardcore pickleball fans, so maybe they watch the podcast or listen. I don't know, but I just look over. They're so focused on their conversation they don't look over at me. But I was waiting. I was like, oh, kind of a conversation I wanted to get in on. But I was with my kids and my wife wasn't there, so I wasn't about to like jump in and be like, so you guys want to make a pickleball facility? Like, where's this at? But
did they end up making it or no?
Well, this was 3 weeks ago, so I don't know.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know where. Like and I don't know if it was like serious plans or this was like their idea of a Saturday morning, breakfast talk. Like I don't know. I was just like, wow, what an interesting coincidence for me to be here, like listening to this pickleball conversation right now.
Yeah, definitely.
But I should have just jumped in. It could have been a live pod or something. Like, all right, break it down for me, guys. But yeah, that wasn't even me getting recognized. But yeah, just in person, like people are usually like, it's been a few times where they're like, I recognize your voice. Do you make paddle reviews or something? And I'm like, yeah. And then I mean, it doesn't happen too often because like most of the places I play, like I already know most of the people.
Yeah.
But I mean, it does happen where doing like a tournament or playing like out in another city. Like I was playing in Traverse City last summer, and this guy like came up to me like he knew me, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I've been watching you play this," and I was like, "What you mean?"
Yeah.
He's like, "In the tournament." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Okay, well," but he was like talking to me like he knew me or so, like more than just watching me, and I was like, he never came out and said it, but then he started talking to me about paddles. I'm like, you wouldn't just start talking to me about like random paddles if you didn't know like the paddle reviews. But
Yeah.
all good. If you see me out there, come say, hey, what's up? And then for David, go talk to him for like 20 minutes. He's a talkative guy.
Very talkative, yeah.
Very talkative. Moving on about my weekend, I was watching a lot of pickleball, which kind of leaves me into my what the pickle of the week. Tyson McGuffin still has it. 35 years old, double gold in PPA Australia, almost a triple crown. Just came up a little short there.
Yeah.
But mixed, and then mixed was the one I actually watched, the whole thing. He was down 2-0 in mixed, and I was getting ready to turn it to something else because I didn't even think about them doing best 3 out of 5. And then I'm like, oh, we're going for more. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. I'm like, I don't even think I've seen a 2-0 comeback. I mean, I think it's happened, but I haven't watched it live. And I could just kind of see the momentum change. If you watch sports long enough, there's just kind of like a feel. And they're playing Gabe Tardio and Jesse Irvine, and Tyson McGuffin was playing Lacey Schneeman. And I could just kind of tell like Gabe just something was off about him in the third game, and going on, and it just kind of like, I mean, I wasn't there, but like it felt like the air got sucked out of the room. Like it wasn't the same game he was playing anymore. And Tyson was just playing a little better. Lacey was getting eaten up by Gabe and like in hands battles and speeding up, and she just was kind of reading it a little bit better too. And it was just like those slight differences were coming back, and man, like I think we've all been on the losing end of a comeback, like whether it's just been a wreck game and you're up like 8-9-0, 10-0, or it's been a different sport and you have a huge lead and they start making that comeback a little bit. Maybe you get a little tight. You start, playing a little safer. I don't think you can play pickleball or any sport and you haven't been in that scenario, and it doesn't feel good. So like, my heart goes out to those guys because it really does not feel good. You feel like really defeated after that. But anyway, it's not about the losers. It's about the winners. Tyson just like at 35, I'm like, both of us younger than Tyson, like, should we just go out and go for it? I mean, we still got time apparently. So
I mean, we have like what, 5 months for the Beer City Open?
Let's go. We're going to start training. I hope they got qualifiers there so we can, get on, because I don't think our duper's going to get us that invite. We're going to have to go through the pro qualifiers. But yeah, 35. I mean, obviously he picked a really good tournament to go to. A lot of people missing, but you know what? You can only beat who shows up, and there was a lot of other good players there. and they didn't do what he did. So, props to him at 35. That's pretty good to almost triple crown at 35. That's insane. So that's my what the pickle. I need to get on that training plan, whatever he's doing, as long as it's not steroids or anything, whatever.
Well, you did
If
hear
you
what he
watch
said
any,
in his interview, right?
if you know the quote, say it.
Yeah.
I was it the bedroom cardio stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, he said he gave thanks to the bedroom cardio. Only him and his wife went to Australia. They didn't bring the kids. So whatever you think that means, take it for what you will. But apparently that's a secret to his success.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Don't know what my wife will say about that, but we'll see. Anyway, big news out of USAP right on the eve of the USAP Media Day. They decide that they're going to ask Rhombus to send in some more ripples to test out. Here's me planning my Rhombus review for the third time. I've made 3 of them, never released any of them. Getting ready to release it because there was no embargo. I could have released it, a week ago, but I'm like, yeah, let's release it closer. Getting ready to release it, and I hear rumblings. The ripple might get delisted. And I'll check some sources, and it sounds like third-party retailers got asked to send it back. And I'm like, sounds like these rumors are true. Why would Rhombus ask them to send it back? It doesn't even make sense. If something's not cooking. Next day, find out the ripple has failed the PB core testing. Like, come on, what's going on? I really don't know what to make of the situation. Like, there's two ways that I've seen people kind of look at it. One, obviously the paddle had already passed, but the paddles they sent in, people are like, oh no, they changed the construction. It's not the same paddle. I mean, I don't know. I don't think Rhombus would do that. It just, with how much money they've already lost doing this, there's no way that they would pull a bait and switch at this time. Like, I just don't think they would do that. It makes no sense from their part to do that. And then I don't even know what the other way of looking at it was. The other way, I guess, is just saying, like, USAP's test is inconsistent, and they sent the same paddles, and they tested differently this time because the test just doesn't work consistently. It doesn't get the same result every time.
Yeah.
And I'm more of, like, in the camp of, like, yeah, that might be true, because then I learned that the 11Six24 series, the Jelly Beans, have a higher PB core than the Power series. And I'm like, the Power paddles for 11Six24 hit way harder than the Jelly Beans. So I'm like, obviously, there's a big issue with the PB core testing. It just the numbers don't make sense. And then this was all on the eve of the USAP Media Day. Unfortunately, I couldn't go. David couldn't go. Got a little late notice there. USAP invited me 6 days beforehand on a Friday. I guess you wanted me there, but you didn't really want me there. I don't know. Next time, though.
Are we supposed to say that thing about the PB core for 11Six24?
It was in the Discord.
Oh, if it's in Discord, okay, never mind then.
Yeah, it was in the Discord, so I'm pretty sure it's allowed to be said. I don't know. Maybe not. Yeah, I mean, it was in the Discord. If you put something in the Discord, it's in the open. I mean, people are screenshotting that stuff the second.
I saw an email from them. I just wasn't sure if we were allowed to say it. But if it was in the Discord, I think it's fair game.
Yeah, I read it in the Discord. I didn't see anything in the email, so
okay.
I think we're safe. So crazy stuff there. And then here I am, sick as a dog on Friday morning, and I'm trying to tune in to a USAP live stream Q&A where supposedly I can ask questions, but apparently their tour of the facility went too long. It's like 10:50, no stream starting, and I just fall asleep. I can't do it. Too sick, too tired. I couldn't make it, and then never got a reply back from them if, like, there was ever a live stream. I don't know if there ever was. So, and then, of course, everyone's keeping the information tight because they're going to probably talk about it in their podcast. They're going to make videos about it. So, it is what it is. All I can say is I'm sure everyone's pretty much going to say the same thing. It's a mess because obviously it's a mess. So there, I saved you time. I summed it up for you. It's a mess over there. That's basically all I saw. It's like, it's a mess, but they're trying really hard. I'm like, it doesn't really matter if you're trying hard if you're not doing it right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you get any more information out there about the media day?
No, I mean, I was going to join that live stream, but work really picked up for me last Friday, and then sounds like I didn't miss much since I guess you
You
didn't
didn't
see
miss
anything either.
anything. You would have wasted your time.
All right.
But yeah. Anyway, so what can we do? I'm sure we'll learn more about it this week, but the long story short is it's just not happening. Ripple's delayed. Who knows what's gonna happen? For now, just rest in peace, Ripple, and I don't know. Can't do these Ripple reviews anymore.
I mean, are you glad you Ripple's like not in the market right now, or what are your thoughts on
Well,
it?
I don't know. I feel two types of way about it. One, because I've put so much time and effort into playing with it and reviewing it, and then two, I do want the power to be capped, but it's hard to separate those two emotions right now. So yeah, I do think it's probably too powerful, to where I would like it, but that's it's going to be different for every person. But yeah, I would say it's either at the limit or too powerful for what I would want in the game. What about you?
Gotcha. Yeah, same for me. I was actually happy that it's not allowed. I think it's like, especially if you're getting rid of the mod and
Yeah.
even surprisingly the black ace, like it just makes sense that that should not be on the market either. Like, just to be fair,
Hmm.
but I just feel bad for, why would you pass them in the first place and then all of a sudden you randomly check them again? Like, how often do you like randomly check the other ones, like the other brands? So yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's kind of the shady part is they ramped up their production, and then all of a sudden you I don't know if they knew that the release was coming, but you ask for the paddles 2 days before the release. Why? How many paddles already got tested and passed? It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
And if it really was people are theorizing it's been influenced by the podcast and the reviewers saying that it's too high. If that's really what got them to retest it, that's kind of a problem too. We shouldn't have enough influence to be like, no, you made a mistake, USAP. You have a test that should be what is defining your rules. It shouldn't be the opinions of all these people talking, because at the end of the day, it's just opinions and it could get it wrong too, and you
yeah.
need to have your scientific tests that you're using to be your standard. And honestly, I could see that being the reason they requested them again, because I you didn't request anyone else's paddles.
Yeah, that's why I think it's weird.
Why not request them right away? You passed it and be like, hey, this is so close to the line, send us another 10 or 15 from your
Yeah,
production batch.
exactly.
Like, what? Why won't you do it right away? Doesn't make sense. That's all I got. But yeah, now something that people I've been asking for, I think in your videos and my videos and the podcast, to compare some of the recent releases and upcoming paddles for Pop and Power.
Hmm.
So we've got the Franklin C45, the J2K Plus, and the J2TI Plus, the Trufoams, which I'm just gonna say the C2 or the Genesis Trufoam 2, the wide
Hmm.
body for me for the Trufoams, and then the 11Six24 Powers. And then I did throw in the Olympus in there just because a lot of people were asking me about the Olympus, just because
Yeah.
I've used it a lot, talk about it a lot. But anyway, I'm going to go down my list of power, and I have all the paddles next to me, but I'm like, it's kind of going to be a hard thing to show all these paddles, and obviously everyone's already seen the paddles.
I've got some. I'll
But
hold them up while you talk.
boom. All right. So first on power for me, and this one's kind of tricky because my other one hasn't broken into the same spot as the previous one, but it's the J2K Plus.
All right,
What's
well, I
the
got to
most
bring up the
powerful?
one I don't have next to me, man.
I think mine's up here. So this is the problem with how much mine broke in. The first one broke in is super powerful, and it's a little bit more powerful than the 11.624 power. Um, the other one is not at that level yet, so I'm like, I still don't know what to say about it. So like I said in my review, take that for what you will. But my next on the list, and I guess I'll just say two. The Ripple would have been the most powerful, and then like the most pop on both
Mhm.
of these. But since it's not approved, just not gonna mention. I'll just mention it now. But the next top power would be the Vapor for me, the Vapor power
Okay.
for all of these. And I think it does come in at the highest swing weight as well. So I just want to mention that it is, and I think it might be the I don't know if it's the highest twist weight because of the Trufoam, but it's probably like one of the most sturdy on the list too. But that was my top power. If
Okay.
we're gonna put an asterisk next to the J2K Plus,
Yeah.
is that yours as well for all these recent
Uh,
releases?
yeah. So I have, I guess, I think out of the ones you mentioned, I would have Lem 624 power right there. But
Okay.
J2K Plus, because I don't have as much experience with it as you, like
Hmm.
I place it like middle of the list actually, or like a
Okay.
little bit further down.
That I would say that's where my other one is right now, so that makes sense to me. Right below that power, I have the Olympus.
Yeah, the
Uh,
same with me.
okay. And then after that, I have the True Foam uh, Genesis 2.
Okay. I put the J2K Plus there. That's where I put
Okay.
mine.
Yeah, I would put the J2K Plus above that. If we're talking about my like not fully broken in one
Yeah.
slash not as broken in as the other one, it would definitely be above the True Foam Genesis 2.
Mhm.
Uh, and then after the True Foam Genesis 2, I would have the Franklin C45, and then I kind of got to talk about. So the Franklin C45 comes in at the lowest swing weight
Yeah.
of all these paddles, and it's super light static weight as well, like 7.6. And so with that stock, it's not. I would say it's like maybe like an all court power with a smaller sweet spot. You put that weight on there. You put like trying to remember. Let me see how much weight I put on this thing. I think I put like an 8-inch strip on here, maybe of a 1 gram uh, per inch tape,
You just put it on the
and
sides?
yeah, I put it on the sides from the
Okay.
top or the top of the handle all the way up to like I don't know what is
Gotcha.
this right there.
I'm only like here right now, so I
Okay,
need to experiment more tomorrow.
yeah. With that, really helps the sweet spot and really helps the power. Like with this setup, and then you compare it to the other paddles, I would start putting it above the J2K Plus and the True Foam. It really can hit hard, and it feels. It's crazy how much the weight helps us. I mean, it does make sense though because it's so light. It's so light. It helps it a ton. So I've seen some people say it's a power paddle. With weight, I think it is a power paddle. Without weight,
Mhm.
it's not a power paddle. So
Yeah.
I guess I could see people thinking it's a power paddle without the weight if you're just like so good at hitting that sweet spot. But if you're not, like a 5.0 and you're not just nailing that sweet spot every time, I think you would be like, oh, like I'm not getting that much power because it really needs the weight. But with that weight, love this paddle, and it kind of makes sense because it kind of feels like the closest paddle to the Olympus on this list for me
Yeah.
with the shape and just how it performs. So I guess it does make sense that I like it with the weight. Like it's like a more maneuverable Olympus with I would say a little less pop just off the face,
Mhm.
but then it felt like kind of like but I don't know, maybe there needs to be a word between in between pop and power because like when I was really getting some like swinging volleys, I felt like I was getting a little bit more than the Olympus, but it's it's hard to know like when I start comparing stuff with weight adjustments, it's
Yeah.
hard to know like what's what, but I'll just say with it has a ton of room for customization. So if you are looking for a paddle you can really tweak and do what you want to, that does have really good power and pop, I think that Franklin C45 is very interesting to mess around with.
Yeah, I like misspoke about the C45 last week when we talked about it because I think I did have my like opinion a bit with like weight on it.
Yeah.
Which is why I kind of like said it was like bottom of power, but yeah, in the video I just did recently, I did also like put this like kind of towards the bottom, and this is where I would put it.
Yeah.
I think that feels really nice, and I think interesting that you said it's like similar to the Olympus because they both kind of have that like sort of foamish feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And with the C45, it's like when you hit it, it feels like you're going to get more power than you actually do because of the way you contact it. Like it reminded me a bit of the Olympus. So it's like, oh, I'm used to that feeling giving me more power. But
Yeah.
because the swing weight was so low, I like didn't see the ball travel that far actually. And it's
Yeah.
like funny because it's like the opposite of how I thought about the Sagas because it's like, oh, it's a plush feel, but now I'm getting more power. And this is like, I
Mm-hmm.
got that like Gen 3 feel, but now I don't get that power. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like the course fires for me. Like they not in the field, but they're just paddles that are designed to have a lot of weight around them, and then
Yeah.
that's what would probably get them up to that power category. But stock, like, and it's like only fair to really, in my opinion, to like kind of you have to compare everything with stock because, um, that's just how they come out of the box. But once you add weight, like this and like the fires, they start to play differently.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to know how to compare them because I'm like, man, like with weight, if they would have just made this a heavier one, like then they could have been like, yeah, this is already out of the box of power paddle. And I think it's just because they went so heavy last time, then they're like, hey, let's go light this
Yeah, they
time.
did the
And it's like,
complete opposite
well,
this
what
time.
if you
It's
just
funny.
went 8 ounces like everyone else? You just
Yeah.
went like normal. But yeah. So take that for what you will. I think a lot of the paddle nerds are okay putting weight on it, and if you're looking for something like that, I think it's interesting. I guess out of all those paddles too, all of them are out except the C45 and the Power, and the Power comes out February 7th. I think it's going to be $169.99 before any discounts.
Yeah,
And
I think
then
that's what I saw earlier.
okay, I should have asked you, the demo guy. And then the Franklin C45 is coming out February 5th, but said like super limited drop, so I
Yeah,
don't
it's like a
even
limited time release.
no idea what that means for quantity. And then March 5th for the official launch. So if you really want to get your hands on that, and that's going to be $229, I think it goes down to probably $203 or no, $207 after discount. But then
There
like,
was one other paddle I think I did want to bring up was
oh yeah,
TI Plus.
oh yeah. Where'd you got that?
I put that underneath the Trufoam and above the C45, but I don't know. I think that one I've actually hit more than the J2K Plus, and this one
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just not getting that much break in with this one.
Yeah, I felt like that one, just like a slight power upgrade over the J2 Ti.
Yeah.
It's I would put that, man, I might put that at the bottom under the C45. To
Okay.
be honest, I wasn't getting too much from it. It might be, I don't know. It's hard to know. Yeah, I put it under the C45. It doesn't. It felt like it didn't have as much, even with the break in. It's very slight. But it did feel like, I guess like, what would be the word like with that foam enhanced? Like it already felt soft before, but it kind of somehow felt softer and sturdier a little bit maybe. I think it was more like towards the top that it helped, like the sweet spot for those. Maybe you have more time on it. Did you feel like it helped that top sweet spot more?
Uh, I don't have a good scientific reason for this, but because I played bad with the original J2 Ti and the J2 Ti Plus, I would say no. But I
Okay,
would say I do like the Ti Plus, but I think it's a better overall paddle in my opinion than the Ti.
gotcha. And then did you have pop rankings too?
I mainly just did overall firepower. That's
Okay,
just how
overall
I said
photo.
it. So I kind of just
All right.
combined them.
Fair enough. I'll just run down my pop rankings with my top pop, just including the ESQ 12.7 for me is my top, just like giving a reference point. Nothing's topping that from these recent releases. And
Uh-huh.
then I have the Olympus coming in next, and then I have the Vapor, and then I have the C45, J2K Plus, Trufoam, Genesis 2. That was my
Okay.
order. And I did like this is probably like the so that's the pop rankings, whatever. That one's probably going to differ the most from person to person. That one's the hardest to quantify, just because of the. I think it's a lot easier to get a consistent like, you know, feel and numbers from serve speed, and then the pops just like that short burst, and you're dealing with like smaller numbers. It's going to be way more
Yeah,
inconsistent. So definitely a harder one to categorize, but that's how I feel
got it.
in my numbers. But dwell time, I was gonna do a whole dwell time list, but that that one's probably even harder to rank.
Oh
But I
yeah.
think I think these the true foam, especially the true foam Genesis 2, gets the most dwell time, and I think I saw in like comments of different things because everyone's saying like, oh, the dwell time. When people are talking about the dwell time being longer, it's not like it's that much longer, right? Like
Yeah. It's like a
it
just a
still
little
doesn't
bit.
have strings. It's not gonna be like sitting on your paddle like a tennis ball on a racket. So I think people just get their expectations too high on the dwell time, and I'll try to do a better job of that. Like, like playing so many paddles, I can feel the difference. But like, I think people are like looking for that magic fix, and there really isn't any magic dwell time fix. But I would say the Trufoam Genesis 2 has the highest of these
Okay.
paddle releases. Uh, any comments on dwell time?
No,
Okay.
I mean, like it definitely helps with the paddle, like, cause the
Yeah.
spin, like the shape you get on is really nice. But it's such a it's a small difference. Like it's
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
expect a
Small
tennis
difference.
racket.
Exactly. And I think people are maybe it's my fault and other people's fault, like we setting expectations too high of dwell time. So I just wanted to clarify that it's not going to be like ball's going to stick on your paddle.
Yeah.
So I think that's everything for the recent releases. Did you have any other comments on the recent releases comparisons?
Not on the comparisons, but we can move into the hot take if
All
we're
right,
ready there.
David's hot take or Mr. Tickle's hot take, if you ask his coworker, what is it?
All right, and I guess this kind of just brought up because a lot of people are talking about like how nice the spin is on these True Foam Genesis paddles. But hot take for this week is that spin is the most useless metric to use when you're determining whether or not you want to paddle. I personally think that 90% of you that are caring about the spin RPMs don't even have the proper form mechanics or technique to even utilize all this spin. So there's one thing. Number two, a lot of you that also care about it don't even use a lot of these, don't even use spin in your shots. I've had people that come up to me and they talk about like, oh, I'm about this paddle because it has high spin. I watch him play. I'm like, all right, you don't have a topspin drop. You don't have a two-handed backhand. You're using a slice. You're using push dinks. The only shot that is using topspin is your forehand drive, and you're not even doing it properly. So at this point, why are you buying a Pro XR paddle because it says it has high spin? Like I don't understand that. So that's like two things that's like player related. But number three for me would be I just think it doesn't make sense to even care about these RPMs. So for one, most people can't even like tell the difference between like a high spin, like between 2,500 RPM and 2,200 RPMs when they're playing. But even like if you could, even if you're at that higher level and you can, most of us are not like pro players and we're not replacing our paddles frequently. So maybe you get that 2,300 RPM on day one. On day 10, it could be completely different. By the time you bring that same paddle to a tournament when you're ready, that spin RPM could be at 1,800 and you probably haven't even noticed. So unless you're a pro player, like why do you want the highest RPMs for paddle when by the time you're actually going to use it competitively, it's going to have fallen because you're not going to have that money or like the resources or even care to like replace it that frequently. So one thing you should really worry more about is going to be like durability, and that's that's where like reload would come into play. But I just think like a lot of people are like kind of fixed on these numbers and like asking a lot about them when honestly I would say like any like all these like surfaces that are just using peel apply resin, you can't really tell the difference. And I know people say like when they pick up a new paddle and they're like, the spin on this felt great. Well, like, well, yes, the paddle you were using before has no grit left. Any other Gen 2 paddle you pick up with fresh grit is going to feel like the spin is nice. Just because someone says this has 2300 RPM does not mean this new paddle you picked up is having high spin. You're just comparing a used paddle to a new one. But, end of rant for me. That's one thing that's always kind of bothered me about spin.
Hey, that was pretty good. I feel you were holding that one in for a long time. Also, Reload, if you clip that, you better send us a check. That's all. Um, uh, no comments. I agree. With all these paddles these days, like the spin is so close. Unless you're like a really high level pro, I really doubt you would know the difference. Like if we had you hit 5 serves and we're like, all right, with 5 different paddles, we're like, which one was the spinniest? Like, I doubt anyone could pick the order.
They would just be like, hold on, let me check this database real quick and get on Google.
Oh, it's this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was a good hot take. I'm not gonna comment anymore on it. That was good. I just wanted to touch on some upcoming things that are going on, some programs, some paddles. Body Helix is now doing a Flik Sandbox program, so it looks like they're just kind of like more letting people know like which paddles they are not using for USAP approval, and then they do intend to like get all of their paddles USAP approved if they can. And that's what their new like TerraCore, which I'm still not 100% what the TerraCore is. Looking for an explanation on that. Just kind of curious. I think it has to do with foam.
Not actually said anything, or
I don't think they detailed what the inside is. I know they had one of them. I had one of the Fliks was really powerful in that. I think they said it got over like 0.5 on the PB core, so it was like too powerful.
Oh,
yeah, it hit pretty hard. It was a fun paddle, but I don't know what like will happen with their program, but I think it's cool that they're kind of like outlining like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We're going to have these paddles that are cheaper that aren't USAP approved, but our intent is to like get most of these approved. But if you want, it's kind of like the Selkirk Labs program, but cheaper. You get to play with the paddles before they're like fully approved. I guess the Selkirk Labs are approved, but these ones are, intended to get approved, but you get them cheaper. You get to play with them sooner and maybe give them feedback. So I think I like the idea. As long as, and I don't think they're intending to make like, cannons, like since they're trying to get them approved, I think it's a good idea, let people test them out early and get, new paddles, do different stuff. Sure. So I'm for it. Diadem had their, I think they call it Diacon.
Oh, no.
Whatever their event every year, they had it in Florida, their headquarters.
It's like last weekend,
We
right?
got invited. Yeah, it was last weekend. There was a ton of stuff going on last weekend. That, the USAP, PPA, Ripple delist. Yeah, crazy weekend. We got invited, but just weren't able to make it. But it looked fun. They do like a fun event. Did you see any like videos or pictures from it? Like
I saw. Didn't Pickleball Will go?
Yeah, I think Will was there. Maybe
I just saw.
Chris
I looked through his stuff.
Yeah, it looked fun. Maybe we should go next year.
Yeah,
I think we should go. I could have used getting out. Well, I guess it wouldn't have worked out this year. I wouldn't have been able to physically get on the flight, but I could use escaping Michigan in the winter.
Yeah.
But they had something come out, so still not 100% sure about this one either. They have a new core coming out called Blue Core technology, and they say it's the first ever solid core pickleball paddle made from aerospace grade closed cell expanded polypropylene. Does that make sense to you?
Okay, I just heard polypropylene and now.
Yeah.
All right.
So
well, a lot of times that's just marketing.
So this technology highlights, they get into it. It says that in the manufacturing process, they use heat-pressured resin pellets, and those individually seal the cells. So maybe kind of something like the Olympus where they're filling the cells, but this one it sounds like they're filling the cells all like if you've seen the picture of the Olympus open, you can see the cells are filled. Maybe this one is filling it so much that it kind of like creates a like a sheet of blue resin across, so like you can't even see
I see.
the core anymore, and it kind of seals it in. I'm not sure, but I think this is interesting. Like this is definitely like the year of like different cores, like for sure this year. I mean, people are trying a whole bunch of stuff. So anyway, they say it's gonna stop issues like core crush, delamination, of course, enhanced dwell time. Don't know about that.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's a buzzword now. Distinctive blue coloring and clear viewing windows for authentication. So I know there have been paddles in the past that have had like a little clear window that you can see the core. So that's kind of interesting if you have like say like by the handle you have a little clear like window just so you can see the core. That's kind of cool. Just so you can. I don't know. I think it's cool to see it.
Yeah, shape it like a Selkirk throat hole and just have the core inside.
Yeah. So anyway, and then they got some new shoes coming. I've never tried their shoes, but I know some people that wear them. So that's interesting. I don't know when that's coming out. No information on like when that's coming, but I would expect we might get one of those in our hands pretty soon if they're already talking about the technology. Who knows? I'm interested in it though. That was the first I've heard of it today, and I just asked. I'm like, "Hey, can I get some details?" And that's what I was sent. Hopefully, I was supposed to share it, but I assume so. It said media kit, so I think they talked about it at the day. But
I remember seeing a picture of it. But yeah, I mean,
the blue core.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was something it seems like something they would unveil at this event, right? Like you need a big thing if you're having an event like this. You have to release something. Like I guess we'll segue into the next thing. The Joola's having a creator event, having some reviewers, influencers. I don't know if is it just reviewers coming?
I think like last year it was like
it was a lot of people last year.
Yeah, but it was like less reviewers, more influencers. I think this year's supposed to be bigger.
Okay. Yeah, so this year some reviewers are going, and as of now David and I are going. That's the plan. Check out the new Generation 4 of the Joola line. Yep. So that will be really cool to check.
Just bought my plane tickets like 4 hours ago.
There we go. Yeah. It's in Las Vegas, so can't get in any trouble there. But yeah, that'll be cool. I'm really looking forward to checking out their new paddles, and then Spartus. I guess we can't really talk about the paddle itself because we haven't really played it that much, but we did get it. They have a new paddle coming, and they said that I could talk about this information, so don't get mad at me, Max, if this
this technically airs tomorrow, right? So I think they're going to announce it tomorrow, so I guess it depends on what time
He said it's good.
Okay.
So I don't know if they're talking. We'll let them do the launch date, but it's coming soon. But the price, and then possibly the performance, going to be an insane match. Everyone tells us they have the best paddle under $100, but this one might be it. So it's going to launch at $80 for 2 months. It's going to be at $80, and then it's going to go up to $100. I don't know if that's going to go down to $70 with a code or not, but it's pretty much launching this at a very aggressive price. I don't think we've really seen many companies launch their paddle at a cheaper price and then go up later. Especially when you're launching it this low, it's an interesting decision. But if the paddle is really, really good, and you'll find out tomorrow, or actually at this time, there will be information on what the technology is, I believe. really interested in this technology. It looks really interesting. So we'll see how it performs in the court. We'll have more for you next week. I'm going to go play this tomorrow.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm excited to play it. Feels really good so far, just hitting it around in the Dink Master. Really like the feel, so excited to try that out. So some cool stuff coming up. And then just a reminder, if you want any of these paddles in the launches, make sure you get them because I think New Year already started, right? So factories are shut down. They are going to be taking a break for a little bit. But yeah, some cool stuff coming our way in February and March. And then, I did have, let's see if they're even relevant now, but I did ask for some listener questions. Got some listener questions. Appreciate that, guys. David, if you have anything else real quick while I'm looking for these listener questions.
Speaking of jumping on these paddle releases for 11/6/24, February 7th for the powers, that launches at noon Eastern. Those I pretty sure will sell out. That's like one I recommend people jumping on top of, especially that vapor one. The vapor power is probably gonna not be in stock for very long.
Yeah, there's not really anything at that price point that can compare to having all those shapes. Like I would say the Olympus can kind of compete with the Vapor. There's obviously some differences there. I would say the sweet spot's better for the Vapor. Obviously the price is kind of similar actually. But it's a lot more stable. Obviously there's a difference in swing weight, then the Vapor is a little wider too. So it's a little less maneuverable, but the power level is a little bit higher, and then the sweet spot's a little bigger. I think more people will probably like the Vapor power better.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you like the maneuverability and really like the pop of the Olympus, then maybe you would stick with your Olympus.
Obviously, it's like at least for me, it's like the feel is like what's really important, and like the feel of the Olympus I think that's unmatched right now, and it just feels really nice.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm interested to see what the public Olympus users that get the Vapor power how they feel. I'm still waffling. I just haven't had enough time on both. I think you'll have a review, right? I won't have a review. I don't know if I said that, but I won't have a review ready. Got them a little late, then got sick, so just isn't going to make it in time.
Yeah, I'll work on it once we're done recording.
All right. So here are the listener questions. First, I don't know if this is the first time ever doing listener questions, but it's the first time in a long time if we did them before. Feel free to leave any questions on YouTube or hit us up on Instagram. Happy to answer questions. New Engage coming up. Engage Pickleball paddles. I assume they're talking about. They have some new shapes coming up. In their Pro 1 line, they have it looks like a new wide body. I don't know if they already had a wide body, but I guess a different wide body.
Yeah.
They did.
Well, I guess they had a standard. They had the EX.
Okay, so maybe they're coming out with a wider one, and then a hybrid shape. So that's cool.
Okay.
I'd be interested in checking that out.
Yeah.
I have a call with Engage tomorrow. So
with like the EX, like the issue is like that handle was kind of short. And I know like the Carbon 2, like for the Genesis, they've extended that handle. So I'm wondering, I don't know too much about Engage. They could be extending that handle. I don't know, maybe like introducing a rounder top on the standard shape.
Yeah, so I didn't see details on the dimensions, but it did look. They had 2 shapes coming out, so that's interesting. And then I don't know when their next lineup is coming out. Next question: are you single? Let David take this one.
I'm married. Unfortunately,
I'm also married. So yeah, that's that.
My wife watches me put this on before we record, just so people can see.
She makes you put it on.
Yeah, she makes me put it on when I play, and I'm just like, like no girls ever talk to me on the pickleball course. It's always dudes that come up to me. They're like, "Hey, David, What paddle are you
It,
using these days?
definitely the guys are definitely more into the paddles than the
Yeah.
girls. That is for sure. The analytics tell the whole story. I mean,
Yep.
there are some out there. I know off the top of my head, Two Dubs out there. She comments a lot. I know she's in the streets, and then obviously Ariana Wilson. I mean, come on,
Oh yeah.
one of the biggest fans. So, and then obviously our wives. I'm sure your wife is a big fan too, right? So,
Hmm.
um, and then next question, which I guess we won't really be able to answer, but I think David has a video he's gonna do, and then me too. What's in your bag?
Oh yeah. I think
So
we should say that for the video here,
yeah,
especially
I'm
because
not.
we.
I don't even have the bag next to me. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll try. Maybe we'll try to do that this week.
Yeah.
Throw that out there, and then what are your mains? That's a hard one right now because literally just feel like I've been hitting so many paddles lately. Like I don't
Yeah.
even know. Like what I've been doing for my main is like if I've tested like 3 or 4 paddles that week and like I need to have a main, it's probably whatever paddle I like the most that week.
Yeah.
Right
That's
now,
exactly what I'd say.
right now, actually, like out of all the paddles I've been playing with, and I haven't got to play. I'd take out the power paddles from 11Six24 because I haven't had enough time on them lately. Honestly, I'd play with the Franklin C45 right now if I had to play with something, just because I've played with it so much lately. Um, but take that for what you will. It's just like that's what I've been playing with lately. And then, I mean, there's so many good paddles though. It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, because like for us, so we've kind of been like rush ordering, trying to hit every
Yeah,
single one of these paddles, so we haven't really had
yeah,
time to really drill nail one down.
yeah.
But
We that's the
yeah,
thing is like I haven't had any time to drill, and if I am drilling, I'm testing paddles to compare them. So
yeah,
it's hard. It's hard lately with all the
yeah.
stuff been going on.
If I had to say one, I'd probably go Supercore HX right now.
Okay. Ooh. That one's coming out soon too. I forgot to actually mention
Yeah.
that. That's coming out February 11th. So
Yep.
those are nice too. I prefer the super courts. If we're talking about all court paddles, I prefer the super courts over the 11 6 24 all courts.
Yeah, and the Saga. That's those two I would take over the all courts.
Yep. Um. So yeah, we'll do a bag video either this week or next week. Did Honolulu Pickleball nail the Gen 3, or was it a desperate play to replace the mod in the market?
I don't think they're trying to replace the mod. I think they could have gone hotter if they really wanted to replace it, but
Yeah.
I don't think they nailed it either, to be honest with you. But I will say, like, I do think they did make a different paddle from the J2. Like they took that shape, made it more powerful, and I think that was already like a good step. Like I think they kind of played it safe, to be honest, because they didn't do anything crazy, at least from my experience. But I still think they did something good.
Yeah. I would also go there. I wouldn't say they nailed it, and I wouldn't say it was desperate. I think all the companies are making power paddles. It's the smart business move. That's what the people want for the
Yeah,
most part. So it only makes sense if you're making paddles, you have to make a power paddle. I think that they could make a better power paddle, and they might
yeah,
do it, but I think it's still an upgrade.
yeah.
Let's see.
Maybe a J7K
Ripple.
plus.
Yeah, a lot of people asking for new models of the J7K, but they haven't done it. They haven't done. They've been leaving the elongated alone. So next question is, would the Ripple be sunset in the future? And I guess that must have happened before the Ripple got delisted. So
Yeah,
let's just say
this must have been
yes,
the first question.
yes.
Yeah.
This guy must tell the future. Uh, is the Trufoam hype warranted?
I'm gonna say so. It's funny because it's like in my review, I compared it to the Nova and like the Rhombus, like that when that Nova came out, like that was like one of the times all the reviewers did at the same time. But like part of the understanding of appreciating the paddle was needing to understand the construction and the durability behind it. And so
Hmm.
the Nova was never a paddle that anyone picked up and was like, this paddle's amazing. Like Dong had to tell us to tell you guys why the paddle and like what was wrong with Gen 2s. And I think that's part of the reason the foam core is good because they had to tell us this is more durable too. But in terms of playability, it's not worth the hype. But I personally think it is if you consider the construction behind it because there's a lot of potential for its usage and because the durability and it just brings new things there.
Yeah. With so this is probably the paddle release I've seen the most reviews at once for. I don't even. Yeah, I think it might be the most. I don't think even the Joola Gen 3 had as many because not as many people had access to it. So in that way, I understand why people think it's overhyped just because the amount of people that have posted, look, this thing has been in the works for over a year and people have just been very curious about it. It's the first full foam core like released to the market that I know of, like that's USAP approved, and then you got the Selkirk one now too, the 08, which hopefully we'll be able to talk about more next week. But yeah, as far as overhyped, it's a really good paddle. It's just not going to blow you away, like power or pop wise. So if that's what you're looking for, then yes, it's going to be overhyped. If you're looking for something that has a really good feel, really good sweet spot, really good performance overall, then it's good. It probably just got a little. I guess I would go if I had to go like one or the other. I would say it got overhyped just because every single person released a review on the same day. Like in the same kind of time, like maybe like 5-6 hours. Everyone released a review, so it just is everywhere over YouTube, and so you kind of like think like, oh, if everyone's releasing a review, it must be amazing, like kind of automatically without watching any of it. So I could see how people think it's overhyped, and it's just people have been waiting to do this review, waiting to talk about it because they've kept the information so tight, and that I guess it worked in this case. I don't know how many they sold, but they probably sold a ton.
Plus, with like how long it's been in production for, that did really push up the hype.
Yeah, you even had people that don't do reviews doing reviews on it. That's how much. So I understand why. Like even who was it? Building Pickleball did a review. I'm like, he doesn't do reviews, but he had a review. So you're like, all right, now I can understand why it seems strange when people that don't even do paddle reviews are doing a full-fledged review on the paddle, and you're like, that seems interesting. So yeah, but that's all I got. Those are all the questions. Submit some questions down below. I'll try to run an Instagram story too, or just DM us a question. That's fine as well. Any final thoughts for the week, David?
I think I'm good, actually. There's nothing for me.
All right. Everyone have a great week. If you get sick, get healthy. If you're healthy, stay healthy. That's all I got. Thank you very much for episode 20. Just 80 more to go until we get to 100. Easy. See ya.